we've been looking for a good partner here in India for quite some time. We've been familiar with Zen Technologies probably for the better part of the last 7 years. So as we've kind of seen the political restrictions open up in India, it became apparent to us that the time was now to move forward to find the correct partner. And so we have a process that we use, a due diligence process, where we look at the reputation, the performance, financial, and the capabilities of many companies. And we looked at several simulation companies and went through our process and found that Zen Technologies was absolutely the best partner for us, for Rockwell Collins, to move forward in the industry with. And again, in addition to vetting them through their capabilities, their innovation, and their past performance, we look at the skill sets and say, can we be complementary, or are we going to be competing? And the beauty of Zen really is there's very little overlap that we have. Rockwell Collins has some ground capabilities, but they certainly have much more advanced and much more of a footprint and capability. So we see that as a synergy and complementary. We both have a little bit of UAV, so there's probably room there that we can work together. And then with us bringing the air, without Zen having the air, we think it puts together a full complement to move forward with.
Yeah, but given that their footprint in the aerospace market is pretty limited as of now, was that some kind of an impediment into your discussions with them?
Oh, no, not at all. That was one of the things that attracted us as partners, is when we've come in and looked at their capabilities and looked at their engineering abilities and looked at their facilities, it's apparent that they could be a very good partner for us to bring the air market here. We currently have products into India, but we don't have full flight simulators into India. So we see with their capabilities combined with the Make India as an ability to absolutely penetrate the market. So we don't see it as an impediment at all.
And do you have any similar relationships in the Asian market? Any similar MOUs or joint ventures with local partners in the Asian market?
We do for the commercial, where we started out much like this recipe that we're bringing forward here in India. We did for the commercial market in China, and we've recently entered into in the final throes of a JV formation in China with Blue Sky. So we have a good business model to take forward that works.
What are your expectations out of the Indian market per se? Do you see that as a big market, especially on the military simulation side? And do you see that becoming bigger for you going forward?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How do you see India as a potential market?
So when I look at India from a growth perspective, and you look at the fact that there aren't really indigenous full-flight simulator capabilities within India today, so it's a great blue sky, if you will, to move forward with, or a green field to move forward with. And so I think that the market is absolutely ready for indigenous made, and I think the policies and the local politics are shaping up around that's what you want. And I think, again, that the solutions that we've created are very portable into emerging markets. We've proven it in Brazil, we've proven it in China, and I think India is our next opportunity for that. As far as the growth itself, when you look at what fuels and drives the training market and the simulation market, it really dovetails off of what's the growth of the platforms going to be. And we showed you what we believe the training and simulation market is. I think that chart's a little bit conservative, actually. But when you look at the global market, as far as the aircraft or the platforms that are going to be procured here in India, I think it outpaces the overall world market. I don't know if it's third in growth projections. So that's a very attractive market to be in.
So you would be looking at the commercial market as well for similar relationships?
We're going to start out right now with focusing on the military market. As I was mentioning, commercial market is very, very, very competitive right now, and it's saturated, quite honestly. So I think for the selective and collective success of our partnership, the defense market is what we'll focus on to begin with.
Can you just name the platforms of military market for which you are going to offer the simulation solutions? Some of these key platforms?
Sure. Well, we really are looking at some of the platforms that are coming up that are open for procurement. If you look at where some of our strengths are, like for example, I'll give you rotary wing, we're well positioned with Blackhawk, Chinook, and Apache solutions. So I think when you look, a lot of those same platforms are coming into India and being procured at a higher rate. So rotary wing, those are some of the platforms that we've got solutions for. You look at fixed wing, we have solutions for all types of military aircraft. We can offer solutions into the P-8 market. We can offer solutions into all of the transport tanker market. And I would tell you that Rockwell Collins is eminently positioned in the fighter market. So we have solutions, for all generations.
What do you mean by that position?
I'm sorry, what do I mean?
You said eminently positioned.
Well,
How
if
do you describe that?
If you look at, we have solutions visual solutions on the F-16, 15 Joint Strike Fighter market. We also have visual solutions on some of the European fighters as well with BAE. So we have a very good position in the training market for that segment of the fighters.
And what about the land systems for Army? Mm-hmm. Are you present with your simulators for Army systems?
We have solutions for the JTAC, for the ground solutions,
right,
for the dismounted soldier. We also have some maintenance solutions for MRAPs and for Stryker vehicles. And then we also have, for the CCCT in the U.S. Army, the dismounted soldier, we have some solutions there. But we aren't presently competing. LeAnn has a lot of great technologies for first shooter, also for tank simulators. That's very complementary to us because we have not been into that
right,
field, that segment.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, over to you. You've taken over the Asian market. What are your thoughts on where do you want? How do you see the Asian market growing? What are the challenges that you are facing? Where do you go from here?
Well, the Asian market is a pretty big market for us. So let me talk about the commercial side to start with. Rockwell Collins has had a long history of engagement in the Asia Pacific in terms of its commercial solutions. We have positions on nearly all of the major platforms with Airbus and Boeing, and we have positions with most of the major airlines and indeed with the low-cost carriers. Last year, we're very proud to say that we had a 100% capture rate on our low-cost carriers, and we've really dominated the market there. So we're looking forward to, as that grows and as capacity and air traffic grows within the region, and it's one of the biggest growing regions, as you know, in the world in terms of commercial aircraft aviation business, is that we continue to partner with those airlines and grow our business. So we've got a number of key solutions that we offer. Full avionics updates. We're very, very strong in terms of our weather radar and our TCAS solutions. And we've brought into the market now for single aisle jets a new Paves on Demand that is a new in-flight entertainment system, which we've just launched, and we've just won with Bangladeshi Airlines Biman as our launch customer for the 737, and Sichuan Airlines in China is our launch customer for the A320. So it's looking very bright for us. Business jet in the commercial business in Asia Pacific is strong, particularly in China, and we have a number of very key successes coming up in terms of our OEM business in China. We've just signed an MOU with XAC for the MA700. We're on board the ARG21 and also the C919 as well. So very, very strong in terms of the Asia Pacific, in terms of our commercial business. In terms of the military systems business, we haven't been in Asia Pacific as long as we have, obviously, for our commercial business. But from an FMS perspective and a direct perspective, we've been on most of the major platforms that the US has been selling into the Asia Pacific. Our strengths in terms of the military in Asia Pacific have been based around Australia, Korea, Taiwan, Japan and Singapore. And of course, as we move and grow into India, which as LeAnn just pointed out, is the third or so largest growing military market in the world. We see a number of key niche areas that we want to work in. The first is networked enabled communication, and you heard me talk about our relationship with Tata PSED.
Yep.
So this is all about providing a software-defined radio for the Navy in terms of its network-centric prototype system, NCOPS, and also for the Army in terms of its BMS. Recently with Tata we had a very successful demonstration to the Army of our software-defined radio in terms of its various form factors, handheld, man-pack, fixed, etc. And we also demonstrated with that our wideband HF. So network-enabled communications is a big part of it. Second part of it is avionics and integrated avionics. And we've had positions on the Dornier 228 for quite a while. We've got our GPS solutions, we've got our electronic countermeasures and our electronic warfare type solutions that we bring to bear as well. In terms of the land systems type opportunities with India, we have a very, very successful joint fires or a tactical joint fires solution that we've deployed in Europe and also successfully in Australia. And we're looking to see what the market holds for that in India as well. And of course, you can't build a market based on just big programs because it becomes quite lumpy. So we've been doing a lot to sell our basic products through PSUs and private companies as well. So you heard me talk about the success we've had with our 721 VHF UHF fixed ground radio, which we've sold to Parker, to HAL for the telemetric reasons for the Air Force. So we see, and LeAnn's talked about the simulation market, so we see our military market very much core around ComNav, about avionics, emerging into land systems with simulation and training underpinning all of that.
Which would be the other important markets in the Asian region besides India?
Well, Australia, clearly because of the length of time we've been there and the close relationship that the US has with Australia. So that's been a very key market for us, and we have a footprint both in air platforms and land as well in Australia. Korea is another one. Obvious link between the US and South Korea as well. So we have strong relationships and strong partnerships that we're forming in Korea around the KFX program, which is the Indigenous Fighter program, around some of their Indigenous helicopter programs, some upgrade programs around existing Chinook and Black Hawk programs as well as moving out into some of the joint fires type opportunities in Korea. Japan is an emerging market for us from a military sense. We've all heard what's happening in Japan in terms of the relaxation of its self-defence force and what that means for the market. And what it means, of course, is an opening up of new technologies and looking at new technologies. And those new technologies are based around a number of key areas: network-enabled communications, force multiplication through UAVs and things like that. And they're all of the niche capabilities that we bring to market. So I think Korea, India, Japan and Australia are very key for us in Asia Pacific.
I know you did mention this thing in the conference inside, but again, if you could just repeat yourself on what is your take on this Make in India program, and how do you view this increased FDI into the Indian market?
Look, I think the Make India program sits very well with Rockwell Collins' approach to developing partnerships across the world. We have traditionally developed long-term partnerships with companies where we come in and do joint technology development. And as someone said in the conference there a moment ago, it's not about just trying to do some manufacturing within country, because that's not going to develop your capability. What's going to develop your capability is the transfer of the technology and then the co-development of that technology together for a market. And I think the partnership with Zen Technologies is really a classic example of how we work together. So over time, we'll build this relationship with Zen Technologies. As LeAnn said, we'll transfer some of that technology with the flight simulator up front. We'll then start to develop that on particular programs, and as we grow together and the trust builds, the relationship builds. So I think the move by the Modi government to increase the FDI from 26 to 49% provides confidence for companies like Rockwell that we're moving into deeper level partnerships. And I like the phrase that someone used in there, first development in India. I think that's absolutely spot on. It's about trying to develop technology for Indian companies and then grow together as a team and go to the world together.
So do you have any kind of a roadmap worked out with regards to expansion in the Indian market?
In terms of simulation and training? Or?
In terms of Rockwell, both simulation and training, maybe you can talk specifically about simulation and training, and maybe you can talk about Rockwell.
Well, we have absolutely a roadmap laid out. As I said, network-enabled communications has been fundamental, and it's our legacy, if you like, in terms of our company. And we have a number of key programs that we're working on. We're working with Celex and Bell on the NCOPS program.
Yeah.
We're working with Tata PSED on the BMS program, on the software-defined radio program. And beyond that, there's the TCS program, et cetera, et cetera. So software-defined radios and network-enabled communications is key to us. I think also moving forward in terms of integrated avionics and flight displays and sensors on board aircraft, helicopters. I mean, everyone knows about the LAH helicopter in terms of that's going to be developed here in the country. We've got, as I said in the conference, we put about 20% of our revenue back into R&D each year. One of the key technologies we developed recently is HeliSure. HeliSure, which gives us an intuitive interface for the pilot through 3D visualisation databases, sensors, etc., provides a first of type for the pilot in terms of synthetic vision and also terrain awareness. So they're the sorts of things that we're going to try to leverage into the Indian market, those niche capabilities and technologies that we have been renowned for many years.
And how do you?
Well, if you look at the full vision of where we'd like to, take our cooperation and partnership with Zen is, when you've really arrived is there's a unique value proposition that Rockwell Collins has to offer that no other competitor in the simulation and training industry has, and that's when you arrive at what Jim just talked about and you get in the full integrated avionics. If you think about the problem that pilots have or that the armed forces have, it's always a concurrency in training. So the aircraft can lag in today's world 18 to 24 months, and the training of the pilots behind that. We found the greatest value proposition we can bring to the market is if you've got an integrated avionics cockpit in the same training solution, you're using that same core architecture development that we've developed. We found not only a cost savings for both the end customer, but we found that you get a nearly 100% concurrency on your training and your devices. And so our full vision would be, as we complement and build off our avionics, and we've got that we're co-developing in country based on that same architecture that you take, we call it core architecture is what we've trademarked, into the training and sim. And the problem you solve there is, again, you've got the concurrency in the development of the software moving right into your trainers, and your pilots are concurrently trained. That's a huge value proposition rather than having that negative training value of 2 years in delay. So that would be my that's when we know when we've arrived. The first time we have that development cockpit and we've got the training solution through there, and then that'll be the full value proposition.
Where does your engineering facility in Hyderabad? You have one, and I think you've got a few hundred people employed there.
586.
Yeah.
Right. So where does that fit into your entire plan? What is it being used for right now, and how do you want to leverage it going forward?
Let me talk generally, and then I'll let LeAnn talk specifically with simulation and training. The Hyderabad facility was established to provide a couple of things for us: channel to market and also low-cost engineering. Over the years, it has grown from a software verification capability to a software capability across the V and to systems engineering as we're moving in improving that capability. So the very first thing it does. It helps us with our product development in terms of lower cost base. The second is we use it for our developing new business within India. And thirdly, we use it to help us with engineering support when we do things in country.
And I would say, you know, we use it for all the same things in the simulation and training, as Jim had said. But in addition to that, currently what they're doing for us in country is they're doing a lot of our database development right now. And so we're using the IDC. So in addition to the value prop that Jim talked about, we're specifically using them for database and development, which is, you know, hugely important right now as the world continues to change very rapidly. So.
One final question from my side. Jim, how's the integration with ERINC going on?
Well, particularly well in Asia Pacific. Internally we call them IMS. Of course they're still known as ERINC. So let me talk from an Asia Pacific perspective. Earlier this year we had a working together meeting internally so that we had a look at how we can leverage off each other's products. And the key to that, of course, is getting our people talking in terms of any integration of a new company. So we've been able to identify a number of niche areas where we can complement each other, particularly when we're looking at commercial deals, you know, when we might be bidding something for a low-cost carrier, and how can we actually leverage off, say, ERINC's Iridium solution for a particular, you know, low-cost carrier. So with any acquisition, you know, progress is always, you know, one step at a time to start with, but I'm very pleased to say that in Asia Pacific we have a very close working relationship. We have a process in place to identify joint opportunities together and then make sure that we go and work those opportunities together.
Anything specific on the SIM front?
You know, and not specific to Asia Pac, but what I would say we've identified, you know, Rockwell's been moving into the whole live virtual constructive training scenarios. And of course we bring the secure communications, we bring the data links, we bring the avionics, we bring the range capabilities as well as our training in SIM. And one of the things that we found that ERINC is going to bring to complete that total network now is the ground-to-ground, the massive ground network needed to pull off those LVC construct exercises. And so we've been working very closely with them. Our headquarters is just about 20 miles from the ERINC acquisition for the simulation training. So we've been very fortunate to be able to map out a very rich future and how they're going to complete one of the missing links that we had in that LVC journey. So good stuff.
Yeah, it is. You know, sounds very promising, and all the best to both of you, both
Thank
the
you.
Indian market as well as the Asian market. Thanks very much also for your time. And if I can just take 2 minutes to introduce